Peter Davison's era was now over, and fans could sit back and relax, knowing that Doctor Who wouldn't be on for a couple months. Really? A week later? Right off the bat, I'd just like to say that this story is infamous. If you didn't know, the Twin Dilemma has one of the worst reputations, that somehow the production team had gone from the best story they'd ever produced to literally the worst. They even admitted themselves. And not only that, but our new Doctor isn't exactly the most likeable. But these are things that I'm spoiling. I'm getting ahead of myself. We should be getting into them during our discussion of the story, and we will. Let's take an incredibly deep dive into the Twin Dilemma. I just hope I can come out the other end. Despite the many faults of this era, I cannot fault that title sequence. The vibrant colours to match the Doctor's new outfit, Colin's face actually changing expression, and of course the purple logo, which just works so much better than the blue. We start off with these two gits, which the script describes as 14-year-old twin children, dark, extremely good-looking, almost sexually so. Not only is this the creepiest thing that I have ever read, but it's evident someone else thought so as well, opting for these two lads instead. They're called Romulus and Remus, who love debating respect with their father, Garmin. Sylvester, that's his name. For some reason, he's incredibly concerned with their mathematical ability. We'll find out later, I guess. In the TARDIS, we finally meet our new Doctor, who Perry isn't really a fan of. I mean, people don't just change, do they? He is a fan, though, of himself. A bit too much.
A noble brow. Clear gaze.
Immediately he denounces the previous Doctor as not him. Young, sweet? These are not traits of the Doctor. If you can't tell already, the Sixth Doctor is a complete and total dick. I mean, look.
No time, no place for space, nothing. Nothing but the grinding engines of the universe, the crushing boredom of eternity.
Someone had a bit too much to drink. This whole segment is intercut with the two weirdo twins pressing squares to a harp soundtrack. Then this guy just appears. What the hell? For some reason, these lads aren't concerned in the slightest that this old man, who is likely a paedophile, has just materialised in their living room.
Oh, come now, do you think I look as though you're going to do you harm?
Yes, you do! You even hypnotise them so kidnapping them is easier. Back in the TARDIS, the Doctor gets his new coat.
You're not serious.
I'm always serious.
You can't go out dressed like that.
Why ever not?
You look dreadful.
Gotta disagree with you there, Perry. I think he looks great, personally. While this coat gets a lot of flack from a lot of people, I am not one of them. I think it's fantastic, very unique. Such a shame that this man is wearing it, though.
Well, it's... yuck. Ta-da!
Yuck!
Oh, come on, Doctor. Perry looks fine.
Perry?
Yes?
How do you come by a name like that?
It's the diminutive of my proper name, Perpigillium.
Indeed. You don't even know what a peery is, do you, Perry?
No.
Doctor?
I'll tell you.
You okay there, mate?
A peery is a good and beautiful fairy in Persian mythology. The interesting thing is, before it became good, it was evil. And that's what you are. Thoroughly evil.
Doctor, stop it!
No, not even a fairy, an alien spy. Sent here to spy on me.
Doctor, just calm down.
We all
Oh,
know
Lord.
the fate of alien spies.
Who thought this was a good idea? Then when Perry tells him what he's done, he just refuses to believe it. And when he finally does, he decides, yeah, let's become a hermit. Okay, I get he's meant to be suffering from the post-regeneration high, but come on, this is just way too pantomime.
Titan 3. Thou craggy knob.
You're a craggy knob, mate. Sylvester comes home and finds his kids are just gone, immediately discovering an alien kidnapped them.
I found Xanium on the floor. It looks serious.
Please leave this to us. I'll get the commander to call you back.
Xanium? You know what that means.
An extraterrestrial kidnap?
If those twins have fallen into alien hands...
How the hell does finding Xanium mean that it was aliens? Bit racist. Romulus and Remus do a bit of fiddling with a wall panel, and their acting is... well, let's just say it could be better.
What are you doing? We don't know where we're from, or where we're going. But one thing's for sure, this is a spacecraft, and we're prisoners. Then we must try to escape.
They're taken to Titan 3, where they fall asleep in probably the weirdest way. The man who kidnapped them is called Professor Edgeworth, and he's working for a psychic creature called Mestor, who's the main villain of this story. Oh my god, that is what he looks like? Of all the costumes they could have thought of, this was the best? It looks like a Ricky Gervais cat. Okay, fair enough. Outside the TARDIS, Titan 3 looks a tad bit different, more like a quarry with a crashed spaceship inside. The ship's only passenger is this guy, Hugo Lang, who is played by Kevin McNally, best known for his role in Flux as Professor Eustachius Jericho and Mr. Gibbs in Pirates of the Caribbean. He really levelled up in acting after this.
Perry!
Murderer! You destroyed my entire command. Now I'm going to kill you.
I think this is genuinely one of the only times I've wanted the Doctor to die. But if he did, then I suppose we wouldn't have this wonderful story to watch. How fortunate. Oh great, back to these two. The Doctor and Perry head out, and oh god, I feel so bad for Perry. She's stuck with this absolute madman.
Gather information, not to finish up face down in a pool of one's own blood.
You know, if you didn't spend so long talking, then you wouldn't get caught. Why is he hiding behind Perry? When they finally meet Edgeworth, it turns out that that's not actually his name. His real name is Asmail, and he's a Time Lord. I remember when I first watched this really took me back. Growing up in an era where the Time War is a constant, we never meet Time Lords other than the Master. But in the classic series, Time Lords just appear all the time. From my perspective, it's really odd to see. I suppose someone who grew up with the classic series must have been heartbroken by the mention of the Time War. The opposite. The Doctor extends a hand to Asmail, but he quickly refuses. As to him, nobody can help now. Asmail's intentions are pretty sound. All he wants to do is save his adopted people, the Jacondans. While Asmail just wants to leave them there as prisoners, with a lock that has 10 million combinations or something, one of his Jacondans just decides, nah, and sets the place to self-destruct. Acting fast, the Doctor transmats Perry, knowing exactly what he's doing.
It worked. It actually worked.
Wait, so you're telling me that he was just using her as an experiment? Then the base blows up as a cliffhanger.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, Doctor.
But we've seen him use the transmat, so how the hell does this build tension? Now that Lang has come to, they set a course for Jaconda, a planet where you can be sentenced to death for stealing vegetables. A death sentence carried out by Mestor himself. As I said earlier, Mestor is the main villain, and he leaves a lot to be desired. I don't know what's worse, his costume or the fact that I can see his shoes. Why? I have a hard time believing that he's a gastropod. There is no way he slithers along the floor. It's not like he moves that often anyway, why not just make his costume a part of the throne? I also find it hard to believe that he ruined Jaconda. I get he has incredible powers, but just look at him.
Hideous. Utterly hideous.
So the Doctor explains an old Jacondan legend that says the Jacondan Queen offended a sun god, so they created gastropods to punish them. But they went too far, so the sun god destroyed them too, leaving just one egg. More truth than myth, seemingly. Then the three of them get separated. How? Well, Lang gets stuck in a snail trail, then knocked out. The Doctor leaves them for dead, and then Perry is taken hostage. Why do the guards just leave Lang? Mestor even asks for him to be brought anyway, so why take the risk? In the end, he just gets up and manages to make his way to the Doctor and Asmail, who is seemingly good now. Oh, great, that didn't take long. These cliffhangers are crap, by the way.
Condemn my planet to certain death.
I must help her!
No, Doctor, if necessary, she must die.
Perry!
Why don't you kill her?
I find her pleasing.
More reasons to hate this one. So Mestor's evil, amazing plan is to move 2 lesser planets of the system into Jaconda's orbit, but each will remain in a different time zone to not interfere with each other. Somehow Asmail has never realised that this plan would make the sun explode, due to the increased gravity on the smaller masses. Mestor can then use the explosion to propel his eggs throughout the universe. This actually kind of makes sense. To be honest, Mestor's plan is actually the best part of the story, since it's the only thing that actually makes sense. What doesn't make sense is how Mestor is finally beaten. So the Doctor has found some acid in Asmail's lab, which for some reason he has allowed to be there, even though it can harm him. But it doesn't, as he's actually thought ahead and put a force field around him. To demonstrate his true power, Mestor takes over Asmail, but the Time Lords aren't like Jacondans, so it's a tad bit too much. So with a second flask of acid, Mestor finally dies in a wonderful effect. Now trapped inside of Asmail's body, Asmail decides to regenerate, exorcising Mestor from his body since he's run out of regenerations, killing him in the end. To be fair, Asmail's death is actually kinda sad, and a great scene between the two, leaving us on a melancholy note. Or does it?
Whatever else happens, I am the Doctor. Whether you like it or not.
As I've made evident throughout, this is absolutely terrible. I don't think there is a single person out there who actually thinks The Twin Dilemma is a good story. It's just impossible. Though that doesn't mean it's all bad. The Jacondans look pretty good, Asmail is a compelling character, even if he is presented as a paedophile at the beginning, and Mestor's death and plan are kind of cool. One huge problem I have is Lang. He's supposed to be the semi-companion of the story, like Duggan, but I just don't care about him in the slightest. Name a single character trait of Lang, because I bet you can't. At the end I only just realised I had no idea what he actually did all of the story. Kevin McNally is fine, but the character is just flat. Well, I suppose with a story this bad it can only go up from here. At least it wasn't as boring as Logopolis, I suppose.
The BBC announced today that the Time Lord, who's been on our screens for some 22 years now, will be off the air for 18 months.
Oh, for fuck!